As part of our cross-government effort approach to preventing evictions, today Attorney General Merrick Garland is calling on the entire legal community to take immediate action to help prevent unnecessary evictions.
The worst capitulation of Western values in our lifetimes. You left behind. I went to Afghanistan. I arrived a couple of weeks ago. It was a republic backed by the United States, backed by the West. Now it is an emerging Islamic emirate.
This is quite a milestone for President Biden.
Does he not regret the manner in which this withdrawal was conducted?
Well, first I would say that the men and women who gave their lives, and the president attended, as you noted yesterday, to honor their service, honor their sacrifice, and had the opportunity to meet a number of the family members yesterday. That doesn't take the place of all of the progress all of the work that has been done to evacuate people.
Okay, so let's just let's start at the starting point here. So here's the starting point. This is what today is, so people don't know. And if in case you look at Jen Rubin and Joy Reid's Twitter, no, it is not Oscar Schindler saving people and saying that. Did you see their tweet?
No, I didn't.
They
did not compare.
Oh yeah, they
Biden
used the quote
to
as well,
Schindler.
saying if you save one of us, you save us all. Yes, absolutely. Jen Rubin and Joy Reid, and that's what he did today by saving all the people. So really, what happened today, and we should be clear about it, so that we can move on, and ask what it means for other things. Mm-hmm. What happened today was you had the administration and this president knowingly and unnecessarily sacrifice the lives of hundreds of Americans, maybe more than hundreds of Americans, and probably thousands, possibly tens of thousands of other principals and allies to the United States. Mm-hmm. They did this unnecessarily. I think that this was probably an unprecedented maneuver for everybody involved in the administration. I don't think Jen Psaki's ever been a part of this, been a party to this. I don't think Jake Sullivan has. I don't think Blinken has. I don't think most of these generals have, as a matter of fact. And I think that probably the media. What are you doing?
I'm just looking something up quickly.
Okay, I think probably I didn't know if it was broken.
No, everything's good. We're good.
And probably the media. Probably, well, no, not even probably. Almost everybody in the media is younger than I am. They have never been witness to this, so they don't know what to make of the idea that you've pushed a bunch of people into a tiger cage, and the tiger has mauled some and killed some, and is about to finish some more off. These soldiers who died, they didn't have to die. This was all an optional play by Biden to make this happen, to put them in the position to let it happen. So they sacrificed it, they saw it, and now they're moving along as if it's not happening. And it's got to be, I forgot the woman, Cariana Rapalapucci Menestrana, whatever, in the middle of New York, who was beaten in front of everybody and nobody did anything. I think this is probably a traumatic thing for a lot of people in the administration who are seeing something and saying, why this goes against things we were taught. This was not on the West Wing. Mm-hmm. This seems dishonorable, and in fact, it seems as if we've sacrificed people, and they have, and they're willing to let it happen now. The administration is declaring victory. Some in media are joining them in declaring victory and saying, "Wow, the achievements that have been made, this and that, the achievements that have been made have been very interesting." In the fact that they're even saying the word achievement and saying anything but abandonment, which this was. We deserted people, we abandoned people to the fate of some of the biggest monsters on the planet. Actually, probably the biggest, considering there's a consortium of people between Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and the Taliban. So that's where we are. There's nothing that they can say that makes that better. We've written this really here as a group a crime. We really have this injustice. And it's weird to see. And you can tell the media is having trouble getting their hands around it to a great extent. This is Nora O'Donnell, who talks to Ed O'Keefe. And even though she can try to put a shine on it, you can tell that they're uneasy with what they've seen and what they've seen unfold today, especially with The original, the bombing and killing of 13, 14 Americans, and now with the fact that we've stranded the rest of them unnecessarily. As America, we've stranded people to die for an arbitrary date, which is it's just unfathomable. And that's as we had a switching point. The pre 9/11 world was different than the post 9/11 world. The post-August 30th world as well is different. We're a different country. We've reestablished values in a different way now. And here's Nora O'Donnell with Ed O'Keefe.
Let's bring in our senior White House and political correspondent, Ed O'Keefe. And Ed, this is quite a milestone for President Biden.
That's right. It is Tuesday now in Afghanistan, Nora, and it's been 7,268 days since U.S. forces entered there. In response to 9/11, President Biden several times in recent months has said 4 U.S. presidents oversaw this war. He did not want to pass it on to a fifth. What was most interesting, I thought, there in listening to General McKenzie, is him describe what he called a pragmatic relationship of necessity with the Taliban.
He's reading copy that sounds mildly optimistic. He is not mildly optimistic, Ed O'Keefe. They don't feel good about this, and they shouldn't.
Didn't call it a partnership, didn't call him an ally. Said it was a pragmatic relationship of necessity that existed over the last 2 weeks or so as this historic evacuation continued. And as you heard him say, some bad news.
It's a historic evacuation, all right, because it failed, among other things. And it resulted in immediately 14 dead Americans, 100-something, whatever, and the botched. And also, it wasn't a historic evacuation. It was a historic failed evacuation because they're Americans and allies. The evacs, the people who needed to be evacuated, are not. They are stranded.
Right. And so it's 250 that the administration is saying they know of that they left, that they told us they couldn't get out because they didn't get to the airport in time. Well, that sucks to be them.
Right.
But there are a lot of reports from people in charities and other stuff who are saying they had busloads of other Americans that are not being acknowledged that have been getting turned away from the airport for a while now. Citizens, not even including the green cards and the SIVs and the other people.
In there are likely Americans and certainly plenty of eligible Afghans who didn't make it to the airport, couldn't even make it in the final hours because of the situation on the ground there. And there will continue to be a lot of questions from journalists, from friends and family of those people, from members of Congress about why they weren't able to get through and what will be done now in the coming days and weeks to get them out. We asked here at the White House today, what is the message to them? And the Biden administration makes clear that the commitment remains to get them out, but it's going to be quite difficult. On another note, while we will hear from the Pentagon, as we just did, while we'll hear a little later from the State Department, we will not, or we are not currently scheduled to hear from President Biden, although aides say he is likely to speak to this later in the week.
Biden not coming out to speak about this. Why would he at this point? Why would he? He's done the indefensible. He's done what no American president has done, certainly not in 100 years, and certainly not in a matter of a decision that had to be made in pitched battle or anything. This was a unnecessary endeavor. This
was so he could say on 9/11 that he didn't pass the Afghanistan war onto a fifth president.
Right, but so many times they had the opportunity to pivot when things were going wrong, and they decided not to. Even when the generals told them, undoubtedly they told them, and if they didn't, there's even more, that American lives would be lost, he said, a political win, do it. Do it. And he went out there to us and said, Bo died too.
Can you imagine that, the nerve of that?
No doubt. Is the president achieving a long-term goal of his?
Yeah, achieving a long-term goal of his. What long-term goal was it? That this isn't an airlift that happened. This was an abandonment. The Americans are in the country.
Right,
abandoned.
plus we caused the problem to start with.
Remember, there were 53 hostages in Iran. There's at least 250. And you're right. We got this rolling. So when history looks, if these people, and you're already seeing and hearing visuals and things going on in the country, there's some interesting use of one of the at least one of the helicopters.
Oh my gosh, that video was horrifying.
Right, showing either them hanging somebody or just dangling somebody
dangling someone's body from the helicopter.
Exactly. They're having fun now. The Taliban are about to start to really have fun. Our partners, our new allies.
That were taking their intelligence to do drone strikes. So there was that first strike of the vehicle, and then there was an additional drone strike that supposedly prevented another attack. They went out and prevented another attack on
Just give them the whole thing.
On the Kabul airport because they
So can you take Dave out too?
They did some other drone strike, and in that drone strike, apparently, what we're being told, now who knows here what's the truth, but apparently we did a drone strike and we killed a family of 8, including 6 kids. Unclear.
Including 2 little cute twins. If you
By so this supposedly prevented another attack on the Kabul airport, supposedly, but we don't know. Did we rely on the Taliban's intelligence for that?
Let me tell you, for the record, it didn't
prevent an attack.
We've done nothing to stop prevent anything, do anything at all. This is all part of a charade. The only thing left are little embers of incompetence. It's a total national disgrace. This is there's never been a time where
I mean, do you think they knew?
I've had people hate America before, and I could always rebut it. I can't. If this is what you base America on, this entire timeline and the resolution of this resolution, then this is indefensible. This is indefensible.
I mean, do you think they knew when they pulled out, like, that this was on the radar of possibilities?
Yeah.
And you think they were fine with that?
Yeah, they said, okay.
So, like, Biden just lied when they said, is it inevitable that the Taliban will take over the country? And do you trust the Taliban? When they asked him specifically those questions, and he said, no, absolutely, it's not inevitable. Of course, I don't trust the Taliban. That he was just, like, straight up lying. Because he intended at that point in time, he knew the Taliban was going to...
I think that he probably was lying, certainly.
Because he must have had the intelligence that... He must have had the intelligence that that the Taliban was going to take over the country.
And here's the other problem. And like I said, I want this just to be the starting point. I don't want to spend this whole podcast on this.
Right.
Is that the way this is done now? This is analogous to after Pearl Harbor was bombed and the Arizona was capsized, destroyed, and people were clanking on the steel, begging to somebody to cut them out of the boat for hours, days, and weeks. Clunk, 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 until eventually the clanging stopped and hope was gone. And that's starting now in that country. Now the suffering starts. Now the clang, the desperation, the begging, the pleading. That's already been happening. And for what? No reason. So let's start now. We're in an administration that is without values, that is without any moral center, that has no anchor of conscience whatsoever. This is a new, and I'm serious. And the fact that you've got Rochelle Walensky now looking at guns, you've got the Jen Psaki talking about getting all the best and brightest legal minds in the world. We need you all to gather up around, create a posse, and stop landlords. That is, first of all, at any time, that is a dangerous thing, wholly unconstitutional for an executive branch to ever do. But remember, how hard is this for Jen Psaki? How hard is this for Ron Klain? How hard is this for Joe Biden? They just killed a bunch of people. What are they going to be wincing at the idea that they're going to have landlords, all of these Ivy League all lawyers and professors and judges harass, blue-collar landlords? Yeah, that's easy stuff. You just drove people to their death. Anything goes now. This is easy. The stuff that the CDC does is easy. All the overreach they want to do. Everything else is made easy now. And as a matter of fact, what makes this such a perfect storm is that not only is everything else easy, but now you can pile all this other stuff like dirt onto bodies. You can pile all this other stuff, going after landlords and going after guns and going after this and that, pile it right on the dead bodies of Afghanistan, and so you don't have to look at that anymore. Get more stuff in the news cycle. Whoever's discussing it, doesn't matter. The shameful thing already happened. You killed everybody. It doesn't matter if you put them in the tree shredder after that. Doesn't matter. This is, I mean, what can you say? What can you say? If Tom Shattuck had the final bus, in an area that was about to be flooded 15 feet away, and I just closed the door and I said, you know what? It's going to make it look good if I'm somebody who gets out of here quickly and I show that I can survive here, even though I'm leaving people to die. Well, then Tom Shattuck is going to be apprehended, arrested, and going to jail. But that's what this country did. So that's where we're starting. So now this is where we start. What we have to do. If this government is willing to do this to us, never tell me again about how, oh my God, these crazies don't want to listen to us about masking. These crazies don't want to listen to us about the vaccines. The Delta variant. Look at, they're not listening to this. They're not listening to the science. You fuckers have blood in your hands. Don't talk to me about trusting you ever again. Ever again. These people should be trusted on nothing. Ever. You'd be a fool. If these people come to me, somebody from the Biden administration, and tells me that my name is Tom Shattuck, I will not believe it. And I'm not going to. So that's all I have, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an incredible thing. And the whole, just the top to bottom lying about everything, the lying about the numbers of people in the country, the lying about how many people they're getting out, the lying about who they're killing and retaliating against, the lying initially saying that this wouldn't happen if they pulled out of the country. All these, I mean, they seem to find it absolutely impossible to be even remotely truthful about any of this. So it's hard to come back from that. And I mean, the incompetence too. And I'm seeing reports and rumors kind of swirling around of people saying that the discontent within the military is at an all-time high, that there are going to be massive numbers of retirements of people just getting out as soon as their required time is done, because they're so disillusioned with top brass and who's running the show and what their priorities are. And they don't believe that, Joe Biden or Millie or Austin or any of these people has their backs at all. They just don't believe it anymore. And who can blame them? Who can blame them? But the next stupid war that these people want to get involved in, they're going to end up doing a draft because there aren't going to be people that want to do this anymore. You're still not going to have the liberals joining the army. It's still not going to happen. That's all there is.
What a time. What a time.
In this public health emergency. The Attorney General's call to action asks major law firms, law school students, and individual lawyers to work with courts, legal service providers, and nonprofits through pro bono services to ensure access to justice for vulnerable tenants. So far, over 40 major law school deans, including from Harvard, Yale, Stanford, Columbia, Howard, UCLA, and more, have already committed their students in law clinics to help prevent evictions. And presidents of several major legal organizations, including the Legal Services Corporation, the American Bar Association, and the National Housing Law Project, have joined the commitment to immediate action. And on Thursday, we will join a nationwide emergency rental assistance program training held by the Association of Pro Bono Counsel and Law Firm Anti-Racism Alliance. As part of our all...
So there you go. There is the Jen Psaki saying that we're using all of these highbrow, all these lawyer types, all these professors. By the way, what a class warfare event this is.
Yeah, and this has unintended consequences too, because this whole war on landlords thing that's happening, first of all, the fact that Biden tried to do this with the CDC without trying to get Congress to pass some kind of law or something, and just, threw it to the Supreme Court. And now they're all sitting around acting like they're surprised that the Supreme Court rejected it, even though it's some evil Republican Trump judge thing that they threw out this stupid eviction moratorium that they had no legal authority to do. They knew they had no legal authority to do. They acknowledged publicly they had no legal authority to do. And the court threw it out, as was expected. The only thing that's shocking is that 3 justices didn't agree. That's the only thing that's astonishing and partisan, is that the liberal justices were not on board with throwing this out because it's so clearly illegal. But I mean, so now it's thrown out, and now they're doing this. They're still going after landlords, and you have the left now whining about the proliferation. For example, there was a big viral tweet about this this weekend about somebody complaining that a landlord wanted 6 months in advance to rent an apartment. But why do they think that is? They're like, see, nobody likes landlords. They're asking for 6 months in advance.
Right.
How ridiculous is that? Like, yeah, because they're not going to be able to evict you if you don't pay. So they want to make sure that they get at least 6 months out of you if they're going to let you move in. Because there's no guarantees. Because you could not pay. You could, if you put down first and last, you could not pay another month of rent and they'll be out of luck.
Right, because landlords, we're not talking to Leona Helmsley and Donald Trump here. These are people, working people.
Right. This is people. A lot of people do this, as a retirement vehicle, basically buy a multifamily home and rent half of it or whatever. Use rental properties as a way to, as a store of wealth, as a plan for the future. Not, they're not getting rich, but they're using the rental income to pay the mortgage so that they're saving up money. And, but the left doesn't like that they do that. They have a moral problem with people using housing as a retirement vehicle because they believe that housing is a human right. Like they believe that healthcare is a human right. And that means that anybody who's making money from providing that is evil. So, I mean, there's a legitimate, and you won't get the mainstream people like Biden to admit this openly, but the people on the far left, the more like socialist people, they, like the AOCs and people like that, they absolutely will admit that they don't want people to be in the business of being landlords. That's not what they want in society. They think that housing should be provided to everybody for free. So you can't have landlords if you do that. So, I mean, but the short-sightedness, and I just can't believe that they think that, socialism or whatever provides housing better than the free market does. I mean, thank goodness for the free market. If anything, the reason why there are problems in the housing market is because of like restrictive zoning and other things that are, too restrictive of the free market. Those are the bigger problems than it's not the free market that's making landlords ask for 6 months rent up front. That's not the free market. That's from government interventions like this stupid eviction moratorium. And yeah, it's going to have that consequence. Landlords aren't going to sit around and get screwed forever on this stuff. So, I don't know. It's the most insane, like you said, class warfare thing. And the fact that they're doing this and just digging down into this, like, it's not like the eviction moratorium that they said was not going to pass muster with the Supreme Court in advance of doing it. When that got shot down by the Supreme Court, they didn't just go, oh, well, yeah, we knew that was a possibility. They're acting outraged that exactly what they knew was going to happen happened, and they're like looking for more ways to make it happen illegally. It's incredible. On many, many fronts, I have never been more disappointed in the government of this country. It's really, they're really firing on all cylinders here in terms of just being terrible, being awful. The federal government now is also going after the remaining states. So Ron DeSantis got shut down in court, or at least paused in court for the COVID restrictions. Are you doing this over?
Sorry, I'm just watching. Just watching. Shaq Brewster was just forced to defend himself from a crazy-acting white man on Mississippi Live TV. He deserves hazard pay. It's just something Joy Reid put out there, and
I think I might have even sent you that video. Because I figured, oh, wow, look at that. Because I figured that, it fit in with your theme from the other day of people attacking the weather people over hurricane coverage. But I was going to say something before this. Oh, the mask mandate. The Biden administration is also going after the remaining, whatever it is, like 9 states like Utah and Tennessee and a couple others that aren't from the state level down, like forcing kids to wear masks, that are allowing parents to have an opt-out to let their kids send their kids to school without masks. The federal government's going after them and saying that they have to allow mask mandates in the schools without parents being able to opt out. So the federal government is coming in and telling parents they don't get a choice, even if their state wants to allow them to have a choice. So that's, I mean, for them to say that like Ron DeSantis is being heavy-handed and authoritarian when he's coming in to try and give parents a choice, and then they come in and demand from the Joe Biden from the federal government level comes in and demands that every kid wears a mask, and that's not authoritarian and heavy-handed. I mean, like, it's like backwards crazy town clown world. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Everything is stupid now. Everything is the worst possible stupid position that everybody can take. They're just like digging into now and defending it.
It is remarkable. It is remarkable because there's not a policy position that this administration, nothing they're doing now using the executive. I just don't see why doesn't he try to abolish the filibuster?
Well, he needs Manchin and Sinema to do that.
Why wouldn't he try?
Well, I mean, I'm sure he'd love to. I'm sure he'd love to. But, there's still those two people left there. I mean, it's so disappointing on all levels, all this stuff. Like I said, I mean, like, hopefully this country makes it to 2022, and hopefully the Republicans will take back Congress and block some of this stuff. But, I mean, come on, this is just incredible. And there have been some features now of Breyer that he might be stepping down soon. Because he has said in interviews now that the partisan makeup of the court is like one of his considerations for when he'll retire. So he's got to be looking at that Senate right now and at Biden right now and saying, like, I don't know if I have time past 2022 to retire and guarantee a Democratic president gets to put in my successor. Because, if they don't hold on to all those Senate seats till 2022, or if, God forbid, something happens to Biden and Kamala steps up to take the role, like, then they lose that extra vote in the Senate. It's a precarious situation if they're worried about the Supreme Court. Like, it's already 6-3 Republican.
Anthony Blinken is 2 hours late for his prepared remarks, and he is taking a victory lap now. He is now speaking and taking a victory lap.
Good for him. Good for him. I mean, it's a historic achievement, I guess.
18 days ago, the United States and our allies began our evacuation and relocation operations in Kabul. As you just heard from the Pentagon, a few hours ago, that operation was completed. More than 123,000 people have been safely flown out of Afghanistan.
How many more American citizens, Anthony?
That includes about 6,000 American citizens. This has been a massive military, diplomatic, and humanitarian undertaking, one of the most difficult in our nation's history, and an extraordinary feat of logistics and coordination under some of the most challenging circumstances imaginable.
Oh, man, his facial figures, his facial messaging is not... It is a man who he looks like Judas looked in the last few minutes. I'll say about that. How about that? Oh, man. Let me pop in a blankie for a second here. See if somebody gets to ask him a question. See what his audacity to say. Can you imagine being...
We're trying to determine exactly how many. We're going through manifests and calling and texting through our lists. And we'll have more details to share.
Imagine we found out exactly how many before we left. On the 31st. I'm sorry, the 30th, but we have to leave the 31st because the Taliban are a little bit ahead of us. And we don't want to piss them off because they're, they own us, I guess.
Apparently, Mackenzie called them our generous host nation today.
Many are dual citizen Americans with deep roots and extended families in Afghanistan who've resided there for many years.
Oh, wait a second. Are we saying it's okay if we left them? They have deep roots there, guys. Yeah. It's okay. Come on.
Continues. The protection and welfare of Americans abroad remains the State Department's most vital and enduring mission.
Just drop that line. I know it's there and it's boilerplate. Just drop that effing line and don't insult everybody. That remains their biggest
If
priority.
that's their most important mission, I don't want to know how they're doing on the rest of whatever it is they're supposed to be doing.
Man.
Because if that's number one, and we just all watched them do the job they did with that, I don't want to think about what's next down on the list.
We will keep working to help them. Our commitment to them has no deadline. Third, we will hold.
But it did have a deadline. As a matter of fact, well, how about our commitment to get them on a plane ticket? How about that?
We couldn't even, not only did it have a deadline, but it had a border around an airport that we didn't even cross the wall of the airport to go get them. That's how limited our commitment was to them.
What has a deadline is their time remaining alive, because the Taliban decides that.
Reason there may be, end quote. More than half the world's countries have joined us in insisting that the Taliban let people travel outside Afghanistan freely. As of today, more than 100 countries have said that they expect the Taliban to honor travel authorizations by our countries.
Where were they on hanging people
just
from
a few
helicopters?
short hours ago,
Yeah, is that part of
the United Nations
the
Security
human
Council
rights
passed a resolution that enshrines that responsibility,
Oh, God.
laying the groundwork to hold the Taliban accountable if they renege. So the international chorus on this is strong.
How will we hold
and
them
it will
accountable
stay
since
strong.
we're not going to put troops in
The
there?
international chorus is strong. Alice, it's strong.
Visa holders, at-risk Afghans. Fourth, we will work to secure their safe passage. This morning, I met with the foreign ministers of all the G7 countries, the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Canada, Italy, Japan.
Let me
as well as
guess, they
Qatar,
think we're doing a
Turkey,
great job.
the European Union, and the Secretary General of NATO. We discussed how we will work together to facilitate safe travel out of Afghanistan, including by reopening Kabul's civilian airport as soon as possible. And we very much appreciate the efforts of Qatar and Turkey in particular to make this happen. This would enable a small number of daily charter flights, which is a key for anyone who wants to.
You wretched bastard. God, can we talk about something else? This guy, I don't know.
Do you want to hear a fun and happy story?
Yes, please.
Deb Haaland, our Secretary of the Interior, got married.
Oh, good.
And Elizabeth Warren was in attendance. The wedding was in New Mexico.
Oh,
good. It was indoors, where New Mexico has an indoor mask mandate, and they did not, in fact, wear masks indoors.
What? You don't say. I don't understand that. The deadly coronavirus, Delta, is coming, then we let our guard down.
Well, the Secretary of Interior is getting married, honey. That's more important than, like, COVID.
Is she a first
and
of something?
variant.
Should I know?
She's the first Native American
my goodness.
female Secretary of the Interior. So.
Wow, that is important. The first one. Wow, that's great. That's great.
And, her fellow Native American, Liz Warren, obviously, they're both first in their way. I'm pretty sure Liz Warren is the first Native American senator from Massachusetts, correct?
Yes.
So,
Well,
they
actually,
share that
if you read
bond. And maybe Native
American
Americans have a religious exemption from wearing masks indoors or something. I don't know. But anyway,
That reminds me.
congratulations to Deb Haaland.
Speaking of that, by the way, you saw that the Boston Athletic Association apologized to Indigenous peoples today?
Oh, well, thank goodness.
Because
what did they do?
They're holding the marathon on October 11th, Indigenous Peoples Day.
Oh.
They apologized today.
Famously Indigenous
Exactly.
Peoples Day.
It's also going to be for racist. It's Columbus Day. But so they apologized today for holding the marathon.
If I were an Indigenous people, by the way, I would be pretty insulted that they just made Columbus Day Indigenous Peoples Day. That they don't have like their own day.
What do you do if you're a woman in
repurpose-
a few years and somebody of your indigenous gender does not win the marathon because a dude named Buck is running as a woman? Does that count? Do you get anything if you're that? These people suck. The marathon sucks. F them. F people who watch the marathon. F people who run in the marathon.
I like the marathon.
No, it's over now. We're not after this. It's over. F it. F Boston Strong t-shirts. I'm sick of them. These people, these freaking pieces of crap who are saying we're sorry for Indigenous Peoples Day. F any Indigenous peoples who are who had their feelings hurt.
Just saying
because
sorry
you
be
Indigenous
enough?
peoples. The day they said I could have because Columbus had one before, they don't. Who the freak even thinks like that? Nobody really thinks like that unless somebody's a professional pain in the ass. That's it. That's the only thing. Nobody has that time. Indigenous Peoples Day. F all of the people involved in all this. I'm so sick of it. And you know what, Alice?
Mm-hmm.
Today, when me and Jimmy and my son were those two were looking for a geocache thing, so I was on the side of the road just checking social media an hour and a half ago, whatever. Twice people drove by me coming the other way, and since I was kind of on the side of the road, but a little bit, they had to go a little out of their way to go around me. Twice they were looking at me closely. They could see that I was on my phone. It just gave me a look. I first did the high look, and then the high look, and the first person, the guy looked at me. Mm-hmm. And then a lady came, and she drove past me, and she went really slow. And I did the high look, and she just looked at me, and I gave her the finger. And you know what?
You did not.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Why would you do that?
No more.
Don't antagonize
Tom
people.
No, I'm done.
You're going to do that to the wrong person sometime.
I'm done. I don't care. What's going to happen? I was going to shoot me in the head. I'll be thrilled. I am done.
I won't be thrilled.
I am no longer going to be the guy who tries to be nice in there a little bit, and then you're an a-hole for it. No, I am Mr. Finger this year, and they're going to be like, oh, I want to judge him a little bit because I think he might have been. He's giving me the finger. That's right, I am. I don't care.
Is that what's going to happen in the next person who stops when you're on your bike to ask if you're okay?
No, those days are over. I didn't tell you the other day. I tried this out for the first time in a while because somebody was looking at me. And it had kind of a crappy look. She was walking on the side of the road, and I was driving slowly, and the whole way she's like doing you don't have to go that fast look while she's doing it. And I got close to her, and I flipped her the bird, Alice, and I loved it. I don't care anymore. It's over. The country's gone to hell.
I think everybody feel better if you let go of some of the rage.
People suck. These people suck. Indigenous People Day people suck. The people who have a problem with it suck. I'm sick of it. The only people who don't suck are the shatheads, and the burn barrelers, and what else do we call them?
Brigadiers? Barrel rollers?
What's a brigadier?
There's burn barrel brigadiers. That's one of our Patreon tiers.
Oh, that's different. Okay. And barrel rollers, of course, those people are great. Is that you guys listening, it's all of us together. Other than that, I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm done. They've managed to stamp the fun and goodness out of the world.
Well,
not
look at
you
it
guys.
this way.
You guys are great. Everybody
I'm going to give you
sucks.
something to be grateful for, honey, because
I'm, by the way, also thinking of getting into big time hardcore drugs.
Okay. So thank goodness for small favors. At least you don't go to Amherst College. Mm-hmm. Okay. So not only...
Alice, don't say something that's going to make me stay up all night putting together Molotov cocktails.
I don't think this well. But maybe this will make you chuckle. I don't know.
I'm not in a chuckling mood today.
Okay. So Amherst College, first of all, like many colleges and universities, they've required vaccinations for everybody coming back to campus. They've been very strict about it. All the students have to be vaccinated. All the staff has to be vaccinated. Everybody coming onto that campus this fall is vaccinated. Okay. But the Delta variant is still out there. So they've had to add some additional precautions. Are you ready for this? They're only putting these in effect for now until September 13th. So for the first 2.5 weeks of the semester. And then they're going to make an evaluation at that time whether they need to continue this or not. So bear in mind, this is a fully vaccinated campus. The restrictions that will be in effect until September 13th will be indoor double mask mandates. So indoors, you have to wear 2 masks. 2 COVID tests upon arrival. You have to be tested bi-weekly thereafter. Limits on indoor gathering sizes, off-campus travel restrictions, and the elimination of in-person dining services. The restrictions were put into place August 24th and represented an increase from the rules outlined in their previous announcement. So I'm sorry if any of our listeners are stuck at Amherst College. I know some of our listeners just arrived at their college campuses for the fall. I'm sorry for you, because that's really, that's advanced. An indoor double mask requirement, gathering sizes, and everybody's fully vaccinated. No in-person dining? Did you sign up for college or prison? I don't know how much Amherst College costs now, but I think it's a lot.
At least prison is real. You're can be a victim actually in prison. When you, Alice, don't say, talk to our listeners in the first person. Don't say any of our listeners. They're
Any
right
of
here.
you
They're right
out there listening.
Okay. All right. I don't know what else you want to do here. I don't know what you want to do. I have hit rock bottom. No, I don't know if it's rock bottom. I am. Why are we not drinking now? Exactly.
We're not drinking because, I'm not drinking because I want to lose weight, but I don't know about you.
What do you think I'm not drinking for?
I don't know.
What, because my weight has hit my goal?
So that your liver doesn't give up on you?
That is long gone, Alice. I have no organs. All of those are gone.
So, but if you think Tom's angry on the show, he's like this all the time, too. So this morning, I had used the studio this past weekend to record 2 episodes of Murder on the Millennial Express for my sister and her roommate, Caroline. And so I had, moved some things around. So I had to come back in, put everything back the way it was, plug all the things back in the way Tom had it so he could do his real job this morning. So immediately there was a distress call. And of course this happened. He has to be on air at 10 a.m. So he didn't check to see if anything worked until about 9:58 a.m. So at 9:58 I get the distress call. He's like, I can't hear myself. Is this plugged in? And he's tapping the mic and going, I don't hear anything in the headphones. So I'm checking connections. Finally I go, Tom, do you have the right headphones on? And of course he was just wearing the wrong headphones and yelling at me for no reason. So,
all right, guys, it has been a good ride for me. Sayonara.
Thank you. You can't turn off my mic when I'm going to do, as Jane says on her show, the social needs. But we are on Twitter at Burn Barrel Pod. We're at Facebook.com/Burn Barrel Podcast. Burn Barrel Podcast on Gab and Parler. We are also Tom Shattuck and Alice Shattuck on Twitter. You can send us an email, burnbarrelpodcast@gmail.com, burnbarrelpodcast.com. Leave an Apple Podcast review. Leave a comment on YouTube. Smash the subscribe button. All the things that I'm supposed to say at the end of shows.